Now I gotta ask. Well, this one is you can't depend on people. You can't depend on people. Now I know everything that I'm saying to myself sounds like it's just simple stuff. Like, oh man, I'm going to like what I'm saying is not rocket science. None of the stuff that I'm saying is rocket science. You can't depend on people. I'm trying to give word from the wise to the wise. You can't depend on people. If you laid around, sat back, and was expecting people to pull you through, you might be 99 years old before that happens, maybe. But if you listen to the depth of what I am saying, in order to be a person to depend on somebody else, you still have to have a goal. Because if you're depending on people, let's say, okay, you're one of the persons that depend on people. You're depending on people to do something. Whether you're depending on somebody to feed you, you're depending on somebody to provide shelter for you, you're depending on somebody to provide money for you when you need cigarettes. Depending on somebody, that part is even good to me. At least there's a goal there. At least that. But you don't want to depend on people. You want to try and figure out, well, what are some of the necessities that I need? I need to have shelter. I need to have food. I need to have clothing. I mean, we're not in the Garden of Eden anymore. So that's dead. That plan won't work. So you need shelter and you need clothing. You can't depend on people. What are you depending on them for? To provide the bare necessities. You cannot depend on a woman to be intimate with. You can't depend on it. You can't depend on her to give you sex. You can't depend on that. You can't depend on it. So now domestic violence or something occurs and the guy wants to go upside a woman's head, or a guy wants to violate a woman or even a child by molestation or rape or something, because you're depending on people to provide happiness for you during a power struggle that you're having with yourself. So you're depending on people to pull you out, to bail you out. So for any idiot in this world that, molest kids, and you're depending on people to provide you with some type of comfort, again, I've said this before, if I had my way, and I know I'm wrong for saying this, perhaps because I do things that are not perfect as well. But what I do that is imperfect, in my opinion, which is still an excuse. At this stage, there's some type of consent. That doesn't say that wouldn't change down the line, because consent can easily turn into confusion. C's all crossed up, and somebody can come back 40 years later and claim that you're an animal. So now you're depending on people to keep their mouth shut, and 40 years later they open them back up. So you can't depend on people. You need a ride to the grocery store or something like that, and person that's supposed to take you didn't show up. You can't depend on people. And I don't know why you would want to. I think as children, when we are kids, we are forced, whether we want to or not, to depend on people. So there can be a handicap coming out of the womb and being in dependence mode and depending on somebody. So here's where growth needs to occur. So it's almost like God says, okay, I'm going to let y'all come out depending on people. You're going to need to depend on somebody to feed you breast milk, regular milk, or whatever else, almond milk, whatever else that's necessary for you to have growth. So what I'm saying right now, as I've talked myself through this, I'm starting to be afraid of what I'm saying, because do we need to depend on people? Man, do we need other people? And if we do, then that's why we are in trouble. That's why we're not happy. And I'm about to lose another subscriber by saying this, and that's why relationships don't work. I was going to try to say they do work. I was going to try. I was going to try to bump it. I mean, I'm ready to let all of the subscribers just fly off the table. They don't work. I was going to try. But you look at the results and you tell me. So you're telling me, for the most part, you can depend on people. That's what a relationship working with me, and I can depend on you. So, dependent on somebody. Good luck. That's probably why some of us feel like we don't have anything, and some of us feel like we got it all, based on the fact whether you're dependent on somebody or not.